Call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to be back in Eastgate offices here, at least with the committee. Hopefully soon we can get everybody back in here for these meetings. Feel free at any time. I believe there's a comment box. So you got any comments, questions along the way, please jump in there, and Lisa will get your question read and answered. Okay, first item on the agenda is the Eastgate Economic Development Program status. Mark.
Thanks, Gary. All right, and we're a tie today to dress better than Steve Kristen, so we're already on the right path. So a couple months ago, we talked about what projects we put into the Economic Development Administration for this round of funding. We did get word last week that we had a successful project. The Trumbull County Tourism Bureau, they have a plan in for a master tourism plan for the region. They found out last Tuesday that they will be awarded $80,000 in EDA funding, total project cost of $100,000. Full description down there. This PowerPoint will be available, but Beth Carmichael was very happy. We're very thrilled for her and her group. We still have 3 outstanding applications that we're hoping to hear word from the EDA on at some point. I don't want to say this week, we only have 1 day left, but maybe next week, the week after. But those are the Golden Triangle Infrastructure Improvements Project, which again, Gary's very familiar with. The Western Reserve Port Authority, they have a redevelopment plan for the south side of the airport. They're hoping to hear word. And then the Crab Creek Corridor redevelopment plan that the city of Youngstown applied for. And again, 2 of those received MFC letters, which they've been bumped up to merits further consideration. And 1 is actually in another group, which they're still considering, but it may get bumped into the next round of funding where they'll actually have to do 50-50 versus the 80-20 cost share that's been offered under our fund. So hoping for good news on those projects. One thing we want to touch on today, especially with all of the IIJA or BIL funding, infrastructure funding coming down the road here, and really with any federal funding, the federal government's transitioning from the DUNS number to the unique entity identifier. And essentially, if you are registered in SAMS.gov and your registration is current and up to date, you will automatically have been assigned a UEI number. But if you're not registered in SAMS, you need to do that as soon as possible. The process takes about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they'll assign your number. But if you try to do this right as soon as you're trying to complete a grant application, there could be some issues there. So the time is now to get that done. We put together this whole thing with information. I'm not going to read it all, but there's some links here that take you to SAMS. There's links that take you to the grants.gov homepage that will explain this in further detail. But again, starting on April 4th and anytime forward, you'll need to have that UEI to apply for federal grants on grants.gov. Just a quick update today. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is there a way to search the website or
Yes. Yeah. So if you go on SAMS.gov, there's a search tool and you just type in your organization's name and it'll pop up. And it'll show who the administrator is, and then it will actually show that number as well. Anyone else?
Just to add on to that, when you do search, you have to use as how you're registered or incorporated. So like sometimes a city could be City of Youngstown. Sometimes it's Youngstown's comma City of. So make sure that you search it. If it doesn't come up the first time, search it multiple different ways. However, you're officially registered on SAM.gov is how you're going to find your name.
Okay, like I said, that information will be available on the PowerPoint, or you can reach out to me directly. My email is here on the slide, and then I can provide that to you. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, next we have Kathy. She's going to discuss the Eastgate Appalachian Regional Commission Program.
Thank you, Jerry. I'd like to start by giving you an update on some of the things that we are working on in the Eastgate ARC program. ARC is for Appalachian Regional Commission. And so go to our website. We are in the process of announcing our competitive part of the process where pre-applications are available for you. And some of you may have gotten an email on that already. Eric has been doing a great job in getting those email blasts out. But we also have the information for you on our website. Okay, so we have the pre-application announcement. And if you look through the body here, this is where it's going to tell you what the ARC goals are, eligible applicants, examples of projects. And then here at the bottom is where you're going to find the application booklet, which has the project proposal summary, scoring criteria, necessary attachments, and also match requirements. So one of the things that we like to offer in addition to our workshop is certainly we have technical assistance available for you from this point up until the day that the applications are due. If you have a project, first of all, I encourage you to give me a call. I'll help walk you through there and make sure you get the key points on that so you can score well. And also the technical assistance, if you want us to look at your proposal ahead of time, we'll be glad to do that to offer input up until the day that it's due. So let's go up to the top, start with some important information. That workshop that I mentioned, it is required for applicants, whether you applied in the past or not. There's always some new things going on in ARC. So the pre-application will be held virtually this year as well. That is going to be on Monday, April 18th at 1:30. If you're interested in participating in that, please shoot me an email, which is also in the body here if you don't have it. And I'll send you the invitation link so that you can participate. We do ask that your grant writer attend. That way they can get the information directly to help you in the competitive process. And then if for any reason that's not a good day for you and your team, just let me know because we're going to record the workshop. We'll make sure you get the link for that so that you can view it. And certainly we're available to assist you at any point during the process. The pre-applications are due electronically on Tuesday, May 16th. Send that to me by 3 p.m. and then we'll send you a confirmation email that your application has been received. Well, in order for a project to be funded through the ARC program, you must meet at least one of our 5 goals. And this is an area that has changed this year. That's very similar to the goals in the past, but we do have a new strategic plan, and these goals are following that plan. So first, we're looking for projects that help our businesses and entrepreneurs to create and retain jobs. Then we're also looking for projects that help us secure a competitive workforce. So we want a skilled, healthy, educated workforce. Your projects in that would be like increasing access to healthcare, workforce development, and training. And then we have infrastructure projects in that category. We have access roads, broadband, water and sewer projects. And then goal 4 is increasing economic development through our regional culture and tourism. I have to say we were at the chamber annual meeting this morning and very proud to see the keynote speaker was George Limber. He's the president of Red Roof Inn. He's a Boardman native and he said tourism is back. So we're glad to see that the hotels are being filled, and that's the word they used, shrinkcation. Instead of going to long distance destinations, people are traveling more local. So again, the tourism within the Appalachian region is definitely improving over the past couple of years. Eligible applicants for the ARC program, pretty much any entity other than a for-profit entity can be an applicant. So we are looking at political subdivisions such as for cities, villages, and counties, and then also educational institutions such as universities, community colleges, school districts, and vocational schools. Then we also have public institutions such as port authorities and libraries, and then of course our nonprofits. There's another change this year in which the allocation to our district we are expecting. Typically in years past, our 3-county district has received about $1 million to $1.2 million for projects within for our communities. That was with a maximum match request of $250,000, $500,000 for access roads. But I'm very pleased to say with the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and the federal budget, we actually are expecting about double that amount in the entire state of Ohio's Appalachian region. So the 4 local development districts are hopeful that we will receive twice the amount that we have in previous years. So with that, then a maximum request that an applicant can ask for on their project, it has increased. If your project is an infrastructure project of $1 million and above, you can now request up to $500,000 for your project. Projects below $1 million, still your maximum request is $250,000 unless you're in the access road category. So there's lots of moving parts in there. Please feel free to contact me. I'll be glad to walk you through the process because we definitely want strong applications this year. Think of ARC as filling a gap of an unmet need. Once you have your project cost secured and you need some additional funding, this is the time in which you apply for us. And at this time, we're getting lots of interest in our pre-application workshop. So I'm looking forward to developing some good projects this year. So that's what I have for you on the pre-applications. Now, the second topic I have is another announcement. And you can find that on the top news section. It is time for the 10th annual Appalachian State of the Region Conference. And this conference is in partnership with the 4 local development districts and Ohio University. It's the 10th year for the conference and it is going to be held on May 10th as well. What we do at this conference is we're getting together with professionals and experts in the industry to come and talk about the economic opportunities within the Appalachian Ohio region. So we share our success stories and also stories about things that need attention and things that need improvement. Conference is free and the registration is open. Eric has helped us out. That is now live. And if you are not able to attend in person, there is a virtual option. So we hope that you can join us on that. The topics of discussion this year, well, I should say the focus is going to be on models for revitalization. So we have some good success stories that we're going to share. And some of the topic areas are going to be developing vibrant communities, broadband, affordable housing, and tourism in rural Ohio, as well as collaboration models. Very happy to say that we have guest panelists from our area on 2 of these panels. We are going to be welcoming Tiffany Sokol. She is the YNDC Housing Director, and she's going to be talking about successes here on affordable housing. And then also on the tourism in rural Ohio, we have Ohio Wine's Executive Director, Daniela Winchell. She is from Ashtabula, so they will be represented on our panels as well. You have the opportunity. I hope that you register, whether it's in person or virtual. We would love to have your participation. Then just one last item I'd like to note. Last month on St. Patrick's Day, we had the privilege of having our federal co-chair, Gail Manchin, who's appointed by President Biden. She came to our region to announce the second tranche round of power funding projects. And that was $21 million worth of projects that were funded on the second round. That was held at the Youngstown Business Incubator. They received $1.35 million for one of their projects. And of the $21 million that was announced, $6 million of that came to Ohio. The announcement was made by Gail Manchin in partnership with EDA. And it was a busy day for Mark too, because he had some heavy hitters from EDA here. They did a tour after the announcement of EDA projects. We took our guests and we hit some ARC projects. So it was a great St. Patrick's Day for EDA and ARC. Those are the announcements that I have for you on what's going on in the ARC program within Eastgate, and I'll be happy to address any questions.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Okay, next, Stephanie's going to discuss Warren's 201 FPA amendment request. Stephanie.
So recently, Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer's Office came to Eastgate to request an amendment to the City of Warren's, or rather Warren's 201 facility planning area. And this planning area is essentially to provide sanitary sewer service to the Meadowbrook neighborhood, and which also includes the west side of the Mahoning River. This area has been part of the county consent decree for a very long time, and the plans by the sanitary engineer's office is to build a package plant and bring all the infrastructure to that package plant. And the reason for the package plant is because at this time, the city of Warren does not have enough capacity to treat that entire area. And this is an area that has been in need of sanitary sewer for such a long time. So right now they're going to build the package plant, and with that, be removing some failing residential septic systems or nuisance systems. And some of them, especially on the west side of the river, have been discharging into the. So a lot of people like to focus on the colors of our maps. I would say focus on that red boundary line. Where it is right now, everything to the east of it is inside the city of Warren's facility planning area. Where I have highlighted in orange is essentially where sanitary sewer has been planned. That doesn't mean that those are the exact streets and locations. So I just want to caution people when you're looking at this map, it is not on a parcel level. So I just wanted to point out where the Meadowbrook area is. And then the area outside of the red boundary, which is between the Route 5 bypass and the Mahoning River, is the area that is what I was calling to the west of the Mahoning River that also needs sanitary sewer. So the very blue dot down there below is where the approximate location of the package plant is going to be. The red hashed out area is the addition that they want to, that the sanitary engineer's office is planning to extend the line, the facility planning area line out to. So all that area in the hashed out will be added to the Warren 201 facility planning area. So we did have letters of concurrence from Ed Haller, the wastewater treatment plant superintendent for the city of Warren, approving this amendment. So therefore, in the tax packet, I have all the information for review. And the comment period for everyone will be from now until May 4th. And if you have any comments with regards to the boundary change, by all means, please contact me so that we can address them. And if you have any specific questions or comments about the project itself, I would defer you to the City of Warren and or the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer's Office. Any questions?
Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Trying to defer questions everywhere else. That's kind of nice. Okay, next Justin's going to discuss the fiscal year 22 planning grant. Thank you.
All right, exciting time for the planning grant. We have closed the application period and received 7 applications from all across the region. Really exciting because this year we're kind of switching up how we're doing our project review. Before we would assemble a scoring committee, have the scoring committee kind of take a look at all the applications that came in, come up with a score and make those recommendations. This year we're utilizing the capacity that we have built into our existing committees. So this right here is the technical advisory committee. And we're asking for technical assistance to review the projects that were submitted for funding. We'll do the same tonight at our Citizens Advisory Board, make these projects available. So over the next month, by the time the next meetings roll around, we'll want any of you that are interested in reviewing and providing comments to get back to me, send me an email with your thoughts on these projects that were submitted. And we'll take that into consideration when we're doing our internal scoring and review of all of these applications to come up with our final list. Then for our general policy board meeting in June, we'll make that recommendation for funding to that committee to get approved and then begin the subaward grant agreement process with those selected projects. So to give everyone an idea of where these projects are coming from in the region, you'll see kind of all the shapes that pop up on this map. A really nice spread that gets some first-time applicants engaged with this program this year. So that's really exciting. And you'll kind of see the breakdown of funding here. We make $30,000 available for this program, and we have 79,524 in requests. So obviously, won't be able to fund everything. It's competitive as it has been for every funding year that we've run this program. So that's really encouraging to see that we're still getting this level of request and engagement with this idea that we're kind of trying to put forth with this project or with this program. So just a very brief overview of what came in this year. I'm not going to read word for word. If you are interested in these projects, they are available to look at the full applications that were submitted on our planning grant website. But you'll see that Austintown Township has submitted for some pedestrian infrastructure studies. Boardman Township is looking at a Boardman Park connector trail. City of Hubbard looking at some transportation and business planning along Route 304 in partnership with Hubbard Township. City of Niles is looking at a complete street feasibility study for the 422 corridor. Struthers is looking to do some planning in their downtown core area. City of Youngstown submitted for a Center City Youngstown parking analysis. And Liberty Township is looking to make improvements to the north segment of the Belmont corridor. So like I said, these applications can all be viewed in their entirety on Eastgate's planning grant webpage. And then comments on those applications should be submitted to me via email by 4 p.m. May 5th, which is the date of the next TAP meeting. Does anybody have any initial thoughts or any questions about how this process will play out for the rest of the time or about the program in general? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, Grant's up next. He's going to discuss the development of the regional EV charging station plan and go into the local active transportation plan.
All right, morning, everybody. One of the things we've been working on is developing a regional EV charging plan. Still very early on with our progress on it, but we want to go ahead and make everybody aware of it. Get some feedback and thoughts if anybody has any. So we're going to create a plan that'll be help project good areas for EV charging stations for level 2 and level 3 chargers throughout our region. So I reached out to other MPOs like NOACA, who's already developed similar plans. We've spoken with them, reached out to some other MPOs. We've also talked to some local communities, seeing about what they're doing, how they're planning, or what their thoughts are with it. Another thing we're doing planning is researching best practices. We want to see what types of things local communities are doing, so we can at least have a little bit of a guidance out there, suggestions of how these things can be done by the local communities. One of the things we're actually looking at a lot is looking at level 2 charging stations are the ones that are designed for, 4 hours is a good time for level 2. So they work really well for like workplaces, places where people are going to be at for part of the day. So what we've been doing is actually using streetlight data we're looking into and actually finding concentrations of work trips. So finding the places that people are driving their cars and stopping for purposes of work. We're going to pull that data out and try to identify clusters we can use for further analysis. Part of the big part of this is the infrastructure, having the 140 million coming for Ohio. August 1st, the state has to have their EV plan in, and that'll be approved by September 30th. Federal guidelines have a big focus on alternative fuels corridors, which we've done some work with, and disadvantaged communities. We're not sure what the full build out of all this money will end up being, but hopefully we'll have some ideas and guidelines for our own plan, so we'll be able to assist with locals getting some of that money as well to build out their networks. Any questions about the EV charging plan stuff? If you have any comments on it, feel free to reach out to me. Be glad to talk about it and get anybody else's input as well.
When you're looking at those level 2 chargers in the business clusters, are you looking at possibly altering parking lots to appeal people on businesses? Or is this too early to ask that question?
Yeah, we're really not getting into that much of a detail. As a matter of fact, we talked with him out of Howland Township and had that conversation where Howland Township is trying to get their hands around their zoning issues. And one of theirs was the parking, and possibly to encourage an EV charging if a business or whatever wants to add a parking space and they're already full. Well, Howland's considering, well, if it's an EV charging spot, we may give you one more. We would leave that down to the local level, I think. I think we would just kind of, again, we're very early on in this and we're finding our way through, but we're just really trying to kind of get an idea of where some of these may make sense in an area versus a specific location. So. But we're more than well, I mean, we'll definitely sit down and talk and, however we can move this forward to. So when this $140 million comes out, and it's going to be a quick turnaround of like all the other ones that we've seen, you're going to have a month or two to apply. We're trying to at least provide, some of our member communities an idea of, hey, this may be a good place for you to look because it fits. It's a business location. It has electricity close. These are kind of the things like we got to dig into and say, what makes sense? Does it have power close to it, or So, and any comments that
Like $500, it's gonna be $1,000.
definitely
And,
help us.
you want your gas money.
Yeah, the city of Columbiana installed a EV charging station. I don't know if it's a 2 or a 3, I guess it's a 2. They put it in one of their public parking lots.
Yeah.
So I know they're not used to it.
Right.
Close, you could talk to.
Yeah, and then also we found out that Bezetta already has a zoning, I started looking at it yesterday that, that's another, they're ahead of the curve, I would say, because, they already have that in place. So and I would encourage everybody else there to start being ahead of that curve, because again, when the NOFO of this pot of money comes out, they're gonna give you about 2 months to apply.
Since you said, I know you guys said you were researching best practices and said it has some zoning.
Mhm.
Are you gonna have any recommendations for zoning best practices for us that we could maybe promote to our townships and local municipalities?
Yes, as a matter, that was one of the conversations we had yesterday. As part of this will be or things to think of, or, maybe the Howland Township example of incentives saying they have a parking, they only allow so many parking spots, but we'll give you 2 more if you have, an EV charging station. And then make ready, there's the term that says make ready. How do we define what make ready is? Is it, everything's there, everything's run. All you have to do is get the unit, you put it on and you go. Or is make ready the conduit and you have electrical and you just pull the wires through. So just, working on it as we go, I guess, at this point. But yeah, we definitely, love to sit down with anyone and just get as much input we can.
Thank you.
City of Youngstown was successful in a level 2 grant application. We're going to be installing some EV chargers soon, and we're also going after a level 3 DC charging station grant to Ohio EPA. So I have a lot of information about this stuff. Provide any advice or prayers you need.
Gotta be careful, too much stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it happens.
All right, next thing I want to talk about is local active transportation plans. ODOT currently has open applications for assistance with developing a local application or local active transportation plan. And application due on April 22nd. They're looking to do about 8 of them across the state. They are going to bring in a consultant come in, do most of the work. There's going to be some initial data gathering, along with assistance with public input, reach out, this type of stuff, and that will be, have to be done by the locals at time work. One of the real good advantages also is an active transportation plan can be used for some safe routes to schools applications, depending on the context of it. So it's a real extra benefit for having one. Cities, villages, townships, counties are able to apply. Multiple communities can apply together, whether you apply for a corridor or just working together. It only applies to the roads that are owned by the applying entity. So if the township applies, it only covers township roads. But if the township and the county get together, apply together, then they can do township and county roads. Big things is looking at pedestrian and bicycle conditions, developing out, looking at all the data behind that, coming up with some ideas, helping you with some recommendations for projects, putting together rankings, like that. And then they do some engagement and they actually put together a process for monitoring it and reporting, which is always extra beneficial for when you go to apply for stuff. But this is right now is on their website. Pretty easy application. If you have any questions or need any assistance, feel free to reach out to me. Glad to help. Last things is I'm also interested. I don't know what all communities have active transportation plans at this point in time. So if communities do have one, love to hear about it. Love to get a copy of it so I can look at it and see what's going on. So I get a better idea what else is going on throughout our region. And the Welcome My Public Input Survey is still open on our website at this point in time. Any questions about that stuff?
Grant, if you do find out information on who has one and the detail and level of effort, could you share that with me, please?
Portland Township was funded through the planning grant, grade one, so they have one on the website under the Eastgate Library. So if you want to
Okay,
see
would that be
anything,
comparable to this? You think it's on the same level
I think the ODOT one's gonna be way more
of?
comprehensive.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I heard they're willing to put almost $500,000 to this research of their own money, so it's pretty insane. You don't apply for this, or you should definitely consider applying for this because this is something that is very hard to come up with.
Is this the first year they rolled this out, Grant?
Yes, it's brand new.
Have you heard any discussion of multiple fiscal years as being offered?
Not at this point in time. I haven't heard anything. And from what I've heard, it's something I'd like to do, but it's one of those things that a lot of the bike pedestrians a little bit hard to get to keep going. So hopefully that's changing and they'll be able to keep it going more.
More questions, Grant? Thank you, Grant. Okay, next we got Ken up. He's going to cover the fiscal year 24-27 tip development program and then go into that and discuss the 22 tip update.
I'm stepping in for Stephen here today. So this is our transportation improvement program update. So on our off years, when we do not do a full-blown tip, still required to have this available. And this just updates what has occurred from the last full-blown tip that was approved to date. And I think as I was talking to Stephen here earlier yesterday, that you know, we really haven't, if you notice, we really haven't had a lot of resolutions where one, we either added funding to a project or right away, or had construction increases where we had to go back to TAC and say, hey, listen, we got this new project, or you know, we need to add right away to this project. That's I think a feather in our cap, or in Stephen's cap, really, that, you know, that goes back to the managing of the project, not only on a monthly, but a daily day-to-day team. Also, it goes to all of our project sponsors. You know, we continue to preach, you know, a good estimate, deliver it when it's on time. If you know you need right away, ask for it early, don't come back late. So again, it's a good team effort that gets us to this point. But this document here is on our website. I'm not really going to go through it because Stephen, he'll be back next
I'll let him go through it in greater detail. But it's on our website, and like I said, Stephen will be here next month to cover it in a little bit greater detail. Let's see, there was another one. This one? I think so. Yes, so this is the Transportation Improvement Program. If you recall, March 31st, we went out for solicitation in our STVG program. Here you see the list of projects that were submitted, requested for funding. Again, Stephen will cover these on an individual basis. These will be available on our website. Interested, I can email you this. I know that's a little bit difficult to see there. Those are the projects that we received and didn't get a chance, or Stephen really, he's been out all week, battling a bad cold, I believe. So we really haven't had a chance to really get into the guts of whether all of these requests fit within our program, what year they fit. But again, Stephen will be able to do that a little bit better next month. Here's an example of is this the, so you're still on. No, I'm sorry. This is all, see, this is why I need Stephen. This is actually the update. So here you see the projects awarded in fiscal year 22. Counties. Now we're to the, so they received 23 applications. Also, so there, Stephen will bring a resolution for fifth with general policy approval. So again, I'm gonna let Stephen handle that for now. So if there's any questions, that's Stephen.
Ken, just one question. You should be able to answer this one, or hopefully you can. 23 applications were received. Are they all going to be in the funding recommendation presented?
Yeah, unfortunately, they were due March 31st, and again, Stephen's been out this week and last, so I don't think he's really been able to dive deep into the numbers yet and see where the program is. But I would say from past experience, yes, we'll figure out a way that at some point we can get all the projects requested and, but.
I know last time you guys did a great job getting them all.
Yeah.
put in.
And we are anticipating, an increase of 15 to 20% with the new infrastructure bill. So I would go out on a limb here and say yes.
You'll open it up for more apps. So.
Maybe.
Got some. Since Ken's not taking any questions.
I'll tell you, I might as well be able to.
Okay, next we have Michael Baker International. They're going to be given a virtual live Zoom presentation.
Well, hello everyone. Jim Katsafanis with Michael Baker International. Assume you can see the screen, my screen I'm sharing. So I'll try to keep this brief. I know it's a pretty packed agenda, and I don't want to dive too deep on what we've been doing, but I'll kind of give you an overview update. I'm going to probably cut some things down a little bit here just to keep in the time frame we have left available. The project was originally called the Lordstown Smart Logistics Hub, but through our imagining of the project and in developing the study, we've looked at a rebranding of the project, and looking at it more of a holistic region-wide approach. Really, when we had the Lordstown name, it really it meant a local focused area. So we've looked at ways to kind of bring a more regional flavor to this, because that's really what the project's going to about. We want to have a regional vision, not just the Lordstown area, and really trying to also look at focusing on logistics and electrification is kind of the two-pronged approach of what this project is all about. So the Live Zone being an acronym of logistics, innovation, and vehicle electrification. And then better aligning with the goals of the overall initiative, and really to bring the Valley as a national leader in smart logistics, mitigate climate change, improve electric grid resiliency through future-focused infrastructure investment, and then ultimately cultivating economic and workforce development through the technology deployment. So we want to really be able to foster innovation partnerships, public and private sector. The logo itself is really looked at trying to bring kind of an abstract to that Live Zone. If you look at it, the green kind of means green, resiliency piece. The package itself, it almost kind of looks like a logistics of a package. So trying to tie those elements together in the new branding and new logo. As we look at the vision plan, I did present this 2 months ago at this meeting, but I'll just hit really quick highlights of what we've changed, what we've updated. Really looking at it from both the inside the zone, which is like the whole of the donut, if you will, but we're also looking at the outskirts, the 6 and 10 mile radius, and how we bring the various cities and tie them into this Live Zone. In looking at it at a regional perspective. So if we take the map and turn it on its side now with north arrow pointing to the right, we've been drilling down a little bit more closely, taking where those logistics, manufacturing, and clean energy businesses are, overlaying our Class 1 rail, because that's really important tie to this region, and this region really represents 19% of all U.S. freight that goes through this area. So that's either highway, rail, primary sources of that movement. So as we start to look at the plan, envision the plan, we have the smart yards that we look at, and we're trying to tie automation within these yards to develop an automated system of freight movement. And these yards would help facilitate that. So they may be, at the Norfolk Southern yard is a potential location, as well as having a smart yard that would be logistics yard that would be located right off the turnpike interchange. We then want to tie those with on-road freight movement or smart corridors, and those smart corridors will help facilitate the movement between the rail, rail, truck, the various businesses, even all the way to the airport. Eventually is the intent. We also want to make this a resilient program. So we're looking at solar and electrification, solar being a solar farm to ultimately allow for electrical vehicle charging of these automated movement of freight, and really tying this all to be a resilient microgrid, if you will, of a self-sustainable microgrid. We also want, we need a mission control system. So this control system would actually help assign the movement of freight, the automation that's required. And layering on top of that is also going to be a communications network that is going to help support that movement of freight and tie the various businesses that become part of the zone and participate in the zone, to give them access and the availability to provide priority needs for movement of freight, whether it's bringing freight to their business from on-road trucking, bring it from rail, take it from their business to rail locations, those kind of things. We also have an element here of transit. So we want to make sure that we tie both to the WRTA future park and ride that's being planned, as well as to the current bus routes that are coming into the region to make sure that we provide access for employment and get that first and last mile service accommodated. So we'll do that through some various automation techniques. And then overarching onto that is also looking at, future of what the needs might be as this grows and development grows, the opportunity to bring in regional network improvements, whether that's interchange improvements, signal improvements, rail crossing improvements. Those are the kind of things we're looking at. So as we look at it from the regional perspective, we have a phase 1 plan, but we would ultimately grow these extensions out to the greater area, the valley, to tie in smart technology and smart freight movement to bring a cohesive regional concept. And if we really look at where that development potential is and to kind of spur economic development out of this whole effort, we can look at what commercially available properties are, where they're located, and trying to tie those together with this regional vision. And that's just at a local area that we could see, where some of that, where that developable, available commercial properties could be located. So additional studies efforts to date, we've looked at a technology readiness assessment. What that really means is we're looking at the technologies that I talked about, the automation, electrification, see how ready those technologies are, whether they're ready for prime time or not, and then use that as a tool on how we're going to develop our implementation strategy. We also want to do an economic assessment. So that's underway. We're trying to evaluate, what's the impact, the regional impact going to be to growth, economic growth, workforce development, jobs, those kind of things. We are pulling numbers together for that so we can kind of have, a benefit developed for the region, with this investment. And then lastly is the implementation phasing, the enhancements. So diving a little bit deeper into that, we're looking at initial phase of 1 to 3 years, a phase 2 of 2 to 6 years, and then 6+ years is a phase 3. So we're going to look at budget, funding opportunities, technology readiness. Those kind of all things are going to go into kind of what we're calling an implementation plan. But first thing we're doing is kind of trying to figure out how we phase it. So for example, I'll walk through a few examples. Smart corridors. In the initial phase, we would have the main routes that we would have repurposed dedicated lanes for the movement of freight. So they wouldn't be in mixed traffic. We would have on-road freight movement vehicles that would handle the freight movement. We would provide freight signal priority to these over-the-road transfer vehicles to get them through intersections and without having to stop. And then looking at inductive charging maybe as a possibility. This is in-road charging as a P3 pilot. As we move on to phase 2 and phase 3, we look at expanding those outward, bringing them to the secondary roads to tie more closely to the businesses, also bringing it outside the zone, the automation. And ultimately looking at ways we can bring partner fleets from other businesses into to provide them freight signal priority, for example. Smart yards, again, we'll look at, what the level of automation is in a smart yard. So we'll expand it from the initial deployment, which will really handle more container freight, to phase 2, which would handle non-conforming loads, such as pallets and those kind of things. So we would look at this automation in the yard to bring it off trucks, offload trucks, and also take that freight and put it on special purpose vehicles that would be able to move it to the various businesses in between rail and truck and whatnot. And then from electrification side, we're looking at this solar farm and providing EV charging at businesses and truck parking, a truck parking location with EV charging. And we would expand that solar farm in phase 2 to ramp it up as we have more needs for electrification, really trying to make this self-sustaining. Providing superchargers for trucks, that's really a different type, but we heard earlier about level 2 and level 3 charging. Trucks even require a higher level of charging, sometimes at 350 to 500 kilowatts is what they require to make it short-term charging. So we would look at those opportunities, as well as phase 3 and making this a self-sustaining microgrid concept for electrification. And then lastly is transit, looking at first and last mile. This isn't really our typical automated transit that we would see, the shuttles. We're talking about a little bit higher level of bringing it on transit vehicles, similar to a transit van of some sort, or transit shuttle that you would envision for like a hotel shuttle. And then scaling up that on-demand service to on-demand service in phase 2, and potentially bus platooning plot pilot with WRTA. And then phase 3, maybe looking at automated bus deployment, full automated bus deployment for the long haul buses. So that's all I had. Thank you for the opportunity to present. And I guess if we have time, any questions?
Time for questions. Anyone? Question for Jim? Okay, no questions, Jim. Thank you. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, no general policy board resolutions for passage this month. I'll kick it to Ken here.
Yeah, Jim's not available today. He just did want me to mention that hopefully next month we'll be back full open. Hopefully we'll get another. It's good to see those of you that are here today. But next month's TAC meeting, we hope to be back to our fully open. Anyone that's available to come in, we would recommend, hope that you come in. We'll also be providing it virtually, but there is some real benefit to the interaction of being in person. So that's all I have for that. Oh, then maybe one other thing is, if you're not aware, April 14th is the deadline for the RAISE grant. It is our intention, Eastgate will be submitting a RAISE grant, pretty much what Jim covered there, working with Cable out of Vision and the Eastgate staff. So keep your fingers crossed and see how that goes.
Okay. I'll open it up for any comments. Anybody have anything else for discussion? Good. No, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Hey, thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Struggling to get in here.